What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Blazers Uprise Postgame show presented by BetOnline. The Blazers get torched at home by the Milwaukee Bucks. Brook Lopez goes off, and the Blazers lose 127 to 108. This postgame show is presented by BetOnline. Milwaukee was somehow only a 4-point favorite going into today. You could have taken that spread on the Bucks side of things and gotten a 50% rewards bonus to make this suffering a little easier. So, if you want to get in on any NBA action as the season continues to chug along, Super Bowl coming up, you can get in on that as well. Daytona 500 coming up later this month for anybody out there who watches NASCAR like me. You can get in on the fun with BetOnline and that promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV. Eric, what's going on?
Could have parlayed that with the Cavaliers only being 4-point favorites against the Wizards without Kuzma and Beal, and you would have made a ton of money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and somehow the Kings were only like 6-point favorites against the Rockets. I thought those were the three easiest spreads maybe of the season today. That could have been a real sick parlay. So use that promo code and bet online. Anyway, Eric, this game frustrated me maybe as much as any game all season. And this might have been the game where I turn on Chauncey. I'm just going to go in hot and heavy here. This might have been the game I turn on Chauncey. He's coaching soft right now, and this team is playing soft right now. And it's frustrating because I'm tired of our team being soft. Terrible defensively. Giannis doesn't even have much of an impact in this game as he was in foul trouble all game. He didn't even play half the game. Eric He played 23 minutes. He still had a fantastic stat line, 24 points, 13 rebounds, 8 assists, but he's been the guy making things go for them, right? Chris Middleton's still on a minutes restriction, and Milwaukee so far this season has actually been a bottom 10 offense, believe it or not. They've been the second-ranked defense. We saw that defense today. So offensively, they haven't been that good. You would think with Giannis being in foul trouble all game long, Chris Middleton being on a minutes restriction, that the Blazers could maybe have a successful-ish defensive game and maybe hold them to, 110, 115, at worst 120. No, the Blazers give up 127 points, at least 28 points in every quarter. Brook Lopez is 9 for 12, 27 freaking points for Brook freaking Lopez. And the Blazers get absolutely torched. Absolutely torched. Javon Carter and Pat Connaughton both shoot 4 for 7, 3 for 6 from 3. The Bucks shoot 38% from 3 and 54% from the field in general. This was a super frustrating game for a multitude of reasons, and I'll get into my Chauncey criticism, after I let you have the floor.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear what he says about this one.
We'll listen to it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't get it. It's just they're doing the complete opposite of what he preached had to be done. The whole competing thing and being a tough team that no one wants to play.
See, yeah. Well, I want to be the one to criticize Chauncey today because normally it's you, but yes.
Yeah, I'm just like, I mean, I'll let you get into it. You might as well just go ahead then because, I don't get why we have. I wasn't expecting to win this game or anything, but we're definitely not going to win the game when we come out playing soft defense that hasn't worked now for weeks. Our defense has been absolute trash for weeks, and we're not doing anything to fix it or be more aggressive or anything like that. They actually, Giannis turned the ball over 6 times in the first half or something like that. It was crazy. He was just all over the place, being sloppy with the ball and stuff. And it wasn't anything we were doing on defense. It was just he was just goofing around out there because we weren't doing anything. And, I mean, quite frankly, unless this team gets a kick in the butt in terms of their defensive intensity and aggressiveness, it's just not going to be it this season against good teams.
Yep. This game
really. So what in particular about Chauncey did it for you this game?
I mean, they've done this in games prior. Tonight it was just extra frustrating, man. And the fact that there shows no signs of changing is getting to me. Just the fact that they play this soft-ass defense and these players are confused as to whether they should switch or not. And then the adjustment for that, the fix for that, is just to switch everything and get cooked time and time again. That's ridiculous. Like, the defense has no chance, especially when, a lot of people were complaining about length. I don't think it was as much length as it was other things, but it's like if you're going up against a team with that sort of length, play aggressive on the perimeter. Don't let them get into the paint. We give up the second most shots at the rim in the entire NBA. It was worse. Now it's only second worst. So congratulations, right? But we're worse than tanking teams in terms of giving up shots at the rim. You don't want to give up shots at the freaking rim. You don't want to give up layups. We give up a ton of layups, a ton of shots on the inside, and we come out in this game. There was a couple times where we just get mixed up in switches or like who's supposed to do what on the pick and roll or this or that. So then we start auto switching. And Brook Lopez has Dame on him at times. He has small guys on him at times, and he's already cooked us in this game. And then you got Drew Holiday going against Drew Eubanks in isolation on mismatches, and it basically ends up with me looking at this like we're literally just playing into mismatch disadvantage for ourselves, and we're just sitting there and taking it and letting them attack us. And what happened to the freaking mindset before the season? Everything he preached, which he says the right things, he's not living up to what he said before the season. The whole, and you've talked about this, we want to be the team that's tough to play. We want to be the team that is, aggressive defensively, this, that. He was super aggressive defensively last year, didn't switch it up enough. Now he's completely gone the other way, and we're just sitting there and taking it with no pride. We're not switching anything up to maybe have some aggressiveness defensively. And it's pathetic, dude. I'm so tired of playing soft-ass defense, especially with our coverages, where we're just switching into matchups that the other team wants. We're just handing good opportunities to the other team because of the way we switch and the way we guard pick and rolls. If guys are having trouble figuring out, okay, should I switch this screen or not? Sit there and say, fight your ass through a screen. You're not switching anything. Fight your ass through the screen. The big should be showing at the level of the screen, or hedging, or trapping, for crying out loud. Doing something aggressive instead of sitting back at the rim like, well, I can't wait for Giannis to drive right at me and then throw a lob to Brook Lopez, or whatever our freaking strategy was going into this game. That's my problem, is you have guys that miscommunicate. They don't get benched. They don't know when to switch. They don't know when not to switch. And then our solution to that is just to throw our hands up and say, okay, well, just screw us over and score 1,000,000 points on our heads.
Yep. And, okay, it's one thing if you have a defensive strategy like that and it gets burnt a bunch of times and then you try something else. But halftime, we come out, same defensive scheme, and they just freaking abuse us in the third quarter. We can't do anything to stop them. We can't score because we're running the same freaking 6 plays or whatever that we always run and that the Bucks know we're running, and no one can hit a shot because there's no rhythm. At halftime they were dominating us. 28% of their possessions were transition baskets. So we weren't even getting back on defense, just simply making it up and down the court. I don't understand why this team isn't adjusting. And quite frankly, I'm a little ticked off because last post game, Chauncey Billups sat there as they blew a double-digit second half lead to the Chicago Bulls, and he blamed it on them being tired. So this is 2 days later, and he's playing his starters down 20 deep into the fourth quarter with there was no chance. Every single person watching this game knew that this team was not going to come back. So, I don't want to hear the tired excuse when Chauncey's playing these guys 35 plus minutes in a meaningless fourth quarter where you're down 20 and you're not coming back. Like they didn't even make a run, like a legit run. It's not like they cut it to like 10 or something at some point and it's like, oh wow, if they just keep in a little bit more, maybe you give them a chance to come back. So yeah, it's like he keeps saying they're tired, but he's playing them like 40 minutes a game in some of these games and then wondering why they're tired and stuff. It's crazy, man. I just don't understand what he's thinking as a coach right now, and it's frustrating because like he was the one preaching all the things that we were preaching for years about what needed to change in order to take this roster to the next level. And then they get some better pieces on the roster to help facilitate those changes, and he just reverts right back to doing the same crap that it's just comfortable, and it's soft, and it's weak, and it's easy. That's the problem. This team takes the easy way out with things. They don't want to work hard to do the things that they have to do on the defensive end because it's hard. And until you get a coach that can get their team to buy in completely on doing the hard things to better suit this team in the long run, I just don't see how it's going to work out with this kind of roster built around Dave.
Yeah, I mean, but it starts with not making excuses, and he makes too many excuses. And a lot of he plays into the excuses that he then gives by running his starters into the ground. That's the thing in this game is halfway through the third quarter, you knew they were losing this game. The only way they would have had any chance of coming back is if they switched things up to an aggressive defense and stopped being soft on that end. It's like, if you're not going to switch things up and do that and give yourselves a chance to win, then you might as well sub the starters out then. Why play them then? If you're not going to do anything, and what we're doing obviously is going to continue to get torched all game long, then why are you still playing the starters in a game that you're basically admitting defeat in by not doing anything else? But then, next game they're going to be tired because they played, 36 minutes the last game. Well, you lost by 20. How many games have we lost by 20 and guys are playing at least 36, 37, 38 minutes? It's pathetic. Like, I understand if you go on a little bit of a run because you change things up. Like, okay, maybe if we keep doing what we adjusted to, maybe we'll have a chance in this game. But that's what makes it even more frustrating is when they just sit there and take the thrashing and still play their starters. It's stupid. It makes no sense. But that's the problem with Chauncey is he's seemingly gotten soft, and it doesn't make any sense to me. I'm really looking forward to listening to this post-game interview because, coaches give coaching speak, but at some point, you step up and you say something. You step up and you say, we can't keep playing defense like this. We have to get better. We have to, this is unacceptable. Instead, his whole tenor and his whole tone is like so soft and, I like the way we fought tonight. We played hard in the third quarter, so that was good. When they played like ass, the first two quarters or the last quarter or whatever. It's like, basically it's to the point where if this team plays hard for a quarter and a half, it's good enough. That's what his post-game press conferences have conveyed lately. So, I don't know, man. It's pathetic. This team can't defend anything right now, and it's frustrating.
Okay, let's just say, so Thomas Rainstreet says, Chauncey has also said we ain't talented enough, which, okay, let's just call it what it is. Bucks are a more talented team than us, right? But that's why, coaching matters. You have to have a good game plan. If you have a bad game plan and they're just doing whatever they want on offense and you do nothing to change that game plan, to me, you're not giving your team a chance to win a game. So you were just resigned to knowing that you were going to lose this game, and I don't like that.
Yeah, it's the same stuff we complained about for years with Terry Stotts. I saw a comment earlier in the stream Terry Stotts is laughing right now. Why would he be laughing? He's laughing at a coach doing the same dumb crap he did? Because this is exactly what Terry Stotts would do. Terry Stotts just ran drop 99% of the time, and it would get killed, and he wouldn't try and do anything different. He wouldn't try and fix a defense that would be the worst defense in the league. Right now, the Blazers are playing like the worst defense in the league. Chauncey Billups isn't doing anything to try and fix it. The only thing he does is switch to a zone where his guards are defending the bottom of the zone
Yep.
and get stuck on the interior against bigger players and then just get dominated. Because, length up top. Well, how many steals does that result in? This is the NBA. This isn't high school. This isn't college. This is the NBA. Guys know how to beat a zone. You run a zone 7 times in a row, guess what? Guys know how to beat it, especially when there's gaps in a zone. You get all this length up top. It doesn't matter when you can pass through a gap. You can pass in between the guys in the 2-3 zone. Have somebody at the free throw line. Guess what? Then the center has to come up and help. Well, who's at the rim now? Oh, it's your guards that are at the bottom of the 2-3. And then you end up getting physically dominated on the interior. And then all these fans will sit there and say, oh, well, we just don't have the length to compete. Look how much bigger they are inside than us. Well, yeah, they're bigger when you play your guards like your bigs and you play your forward, Jeremy Grant, on point guards and he gets screened out of plays, and then you switch to a zone where your forwards are further away from the hoop than your guards. Schematically, Chauncey has seemingly no clue of what he's doing right now, and he's not being creative enough. The only creative thing is that stupid zone. I don't even know if he ran it in this game, but my point is,
we ran a zone. It was like a little different than normal, but yeah, it was not working at all.
Why did he go into last season trapping literally everything to the point where we were doing it too much? And now he refuses to trap. He refuses to hedge. He refuses to do anything with the big above the level of the screen.
Yeah.
It's so it's like he was so drastic one way, and now he swung so drastically the other way. Now he's Terry Stotts.
Yeah, good example of that is play 1 if you want to load it. But yeah, I mean, Eric Olsen asks, does he not trust his personnel? It might have a little bit to do with it.
Doesn't matter.
But that's not an excuse.
They're getting killed anyway, so you might as well try something else. This personnel isn't working for what he is doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we're not blaming him for the personnel right now, like especially with like Nurkic and stuff. But like, yeah, I don't get it, because we have like Watford and Eubanks are bigs, and they're undersized as bigs to begin with. And then we have our backcourt and stuff. Yet we are constantly playing our center above the free throw line, Watford and Eubanks, and allowing our smaller players to be the interior defense, and that hasn't changed all season. They haven't adjusted with that, but then they complain about their lack of length, and it's like they're literally doing it to themselves around the basket by not having their big guys around the basket. Did you see Brook Lopez guarding players on the perimeter for Milwaukee in this game very much? No. Like, he's always around the basket. You know what I mean?
Like that's the thing, too, is if you're playing, like, aggressive defense and somehow the guard strings it out and you have to switch, okay. The thing is, we play this conservative defense and then we still switch.
Yeah. Well, actually, like, Brook did come out a couple times a little too far, and Dame burnt him on drives, and then he never came out again the rest of the game. They adjusted to it. That's what you do.
Yep. And here's the thing. We'll jump into that first play in a second. I've given Chauncey Billups the benefit of the doubt all season long. I've given him every chance. I've given him a ton of patience. I've sat here and said, when everybody in here is criticizing him, I've sat here and said, this is still his first legitimate season as a coach. I'll give him time to figure it out. But at this point, we're like 2/3 of the way through the season, and we're 2 games below 500. And it's not seemingly not getting any better. So at what point does he get held accountable? For me, it was this game. Because if anything, he's just getting softer and softer and softer. And I don't know, he got criticized for like being too hard on players in post-game press conferences last year. I mean, maybe this dude doesn't have confidence that he can keep a locker room if he holds guys accountable. I don't know. Maybe he's trying not to be too hard on these guys because of it. Because everything is soft. The tenor, the post-game press conferences, the excuses, the defensive schemes, even the offense today. What the hell were we doing offensively? We weren't moving the ball. We were barely utilizing Dame off the ball. He can't hit shots in the first quarter because everything's a pull-up off a screen. I would love to get Jeremy Grant curling off a screen into the paint. Do we ever do that? Like, What are we doing offensively, too? It's just a mess.
Well, I think what happened is, so he convinced himself that they just, with injuries, I don't know if it's like Justice being out or what, but somehow he convinced himself that everyone's playing and doing whatever they can to win. It's just they don't have enough, and now he's just kind of resigned himself to the fact, and you can't.
That's
win
pathetic.
That NBA, yeah.
That's pathetic as a coach. Do what you can do. Try your best to give yourselves the best chance to win with what you got.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the best teams do. Grizzlies miss Ja Morant. Guess what? They're still going out there to compete in every single game, and Taylor Jenkins has them as prepared as possible and tries to give them the best chance possible to win each and every game. Do you think they'd win as many games without Ja Morant if Taylor Jenkins went into games like, oh, well, we don't have our stars, so, guys just got to play hard and try their best, and if they fight, that's fine, and we're just going to sit here and play a conservative scheme that gets abused? No, he doesn't go into games like that. You cannot have that mentality as a coach. If he has that mentality, Eric, then, at this point, I want him fired. You cannot have that mentality as a coach. And if he does, then we're screwed. Because of soft.
Yep. That's... I don't know. I got really nauseous listening to the commentating tonight, just all the excuses and stuff. Yeah.
Yep. I get it. Lamar Hurd has to put a positive spin on things. I'm not even going at him, but man, I'm tired of listening to it. I love Lamar Hurd as a commentator, but it's getting tiring to hear all the excuses that he gives. And I'm not even necessarily sitting here Lamar, stop, because the Blazers organization wants him to.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't even blame him. It's just I'm so tired of the acceptance of mediocrity in this franchise. The thing is, it's gotten so bad, Eric. A lot of people accepted mediocrity going into the season because the GM told them that they should accept mediocrity.
Yeah, well, so Mike says I'm not mad at Lamar. He has to defend them. But tonight he was using excuses like that, and that's where I draw the line. Oh, well, he said that they weren't going to win this year, and we know they weren't a complete roster yet, and all that stuff. That's where I don't like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, stop being soft and accepting mediocrity. It should piss off everybody in this organization that this team is 26-28 right now. It pisses off the fan base, except for the fans that are just buying the company line. Because there's a lot of fans out there that are just buying the company line. Cronin said he needs multiple years to do anything in terms of building anything. So I'm gonna just sit here and say it's okay that we suck. Seriously?
What does that have to do with Chauncey not coming up with better game plans?
Chauncey's accepting mediocrity because he's not trying to switch anything.
Yeah.
Cronin accepted mediocrity, except when they were 10-4, he would have been oh yes, he would have taken credit for building a winning roster, right? So he gave himself an out, and now a lot of fans just sit there and say, oh, well, he said the team wasn't going to be good, so it's not his fault. You know what? This is what we should have expected. You expected this team to be better. Even the GM didn't. Well, why didn't the GM not put together a better team where we were talking about going into the season? Drew Eubanks is not backup center quality, and Drew Eubanks was really bad tonight. I don't want to rant about him too much, but he was real bad tonight. But then we talked about going into the season. You need another freaking big body so that when Nurkic is out, guys like Brook Lopez don't absolutely destroy you. We said that before the season.
The scheme made it worse. Yeah, as I'll show in this first play. But yeah, I'll get to the donations. Isaiah Muhammad, $2 donation.
Chris, do we think Chris's?
Oh no, go ahead.
Chris, I don't know what the currency is. $2 dono from Chris. Thank you, Chris. Says that Drew Eubanks mid-range game though. Fire emojis. Fire emojis.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chris.
Sorry, that wasn't far enough ahead of my feed. Isaiah Muhammad, $2 donation. Fist must be code for give up an open shot. LOL. You know what? This isn't. I mean, I'm sure this is just a coincidence, but when that video came out on YouTube, like explaining their coverages and stuff and what their calls mean, they haven't changed their calls at all or like done anything different. Like it's like, call it something different each game. So like from the
Or
jump, the
every
start of the
couple
game,
games at
yeah.
least.
From the start of the game, like the defense doesn't automatically know that fist for like 50 games now means the same thing. You know what I mean? Like do a different symbol other than fist or something. I don't know. But yeah, our defense is code for a give up an open shot. And then Braden Thennis says $5 donation. Pre-deadline stress killing me. Love you all, doing great work. Yeah,
Thank you. Appreciate it.
That's kind of what it feels like right now too. Is they like. What's weird is like they win a couple games and no one's talking about this, right? Like, oh, they're sputtering to the finish line. But it really feels like they're sputtering to the finish line and they're just trying to make it to Thursday. And like, hopefully that's all it is. But I mean, like I said, Chauncey got completely outcoached tonight, even if he did have a better roster. So I'm not confident against good teams that it's going to matter much unless we see some definite improvements in terms of adjustments and defensive game plans going into games.
We need a good coach. We need a good GM. I mean, how nice would it be if we could trade Keon Johnson and Justice Winslow for like Malik Beasley, right? Wouldn't that be nice to do? Well, Norman Powell's even better than Malik Beasley. And our GM was dumb enough to accept Keon Johnson and... I mean, I shouldn't say that. That's too personal. Our GM was misguided enough to accept Keon Johnson, Justice Winslow, and Eric Bledsoe's dead money, which is what it became, for Norman Powell and Robert Covington. I mean, everything goes back to that. Like, if you want to criticize the way this team is built... And it's funny because everybody gives Cronin a pass. Not everybody. I'm kind of tripping over my words here. A lot of people give Cronin a pass in terms of, oh, well, they weren't supposed to win this year. This was a building year. Well, Cronin made it harder to build by trading Norman Powell where he wanted to go. And now it's like we're supposed to try and compete against the Clippers, and Norman Powell's kind of been carrying them lately. He's been phenomenal lately, right? We could have gotten back more assets for Norman Powell and Robert Covington from an Eastern Conference team where we didn't have to go up against them. So that's the thing, is like Cronin made it harder on himself, and then he tells the fan base, oh yeah, it's too hard to try and win this year, and somehow people excuse him for it.
Well, and then, I mean, I've kind of been joking, but kind of serious too, but I really think this front office and Chauncey both really think Eubanks is it in terms of the backup,
That's how I know we're even more screwed.
And Billups came out to say today and said how in love he was with Eubanks and what he does, all the little things on the court and stuff like that. So like even our own coaches can't.
We're screwed.
See some of the stuff. So yeah,
we're screwed. I mean that because they're not going to fire Chauncey. They're not going to fire Cronin.
No.
The only way this franchise gets out of mediocrity is if ownership changes, then the new ownership makes changes. That's the only way. Because this ownership group seems to, I don't know. I don't know if Jody's upset about this team being mediocre. We don't know how emotionally invested she is in the team, right? Like, you hear lip service, like, yeah, she really cares, but who knows whether you can trust that or not. They didn't even interview other GMs. Mm-mm. And they hire Cronin, and then that last trade deadline goes down, but now Cronin's supposed to save this franchise. Chauncey, I mean, I can't blame them for hiring Chauncey because he says the right things, but he's not about it. I mean, these guys aren't going anywhere. Cronin's not going anywhere. Chauncey's not going anywhere. And I don't trust either of those dudes right now at all.
I mean, they're still both, a year and a half or a year, just a little over a year for Cronin and a year and a half into the job. So like, unfortunately, it's still a case where you could still make the argument if you're Jody that they deserve more time to figure things out, which is fine. Like if that's what you want to do, but yeah, the tough part is like short of a trade that ends up working almost like you didn't plan it, kind of like the Nurkic trade, Plumlee for Nurkic, and how that saved our season. Short of a trade like that, I don't see what can really happen to fix that. But maybe he gets lucky and pulls off a move, and that player is just like the perfect player to mix in and unlock some of this other stuff. And then Chauncey starts realizing he can do different things on the court. But I mean, let's be real here. We had an issue with defense, last 3 years, obviously. And we signed one of the best defenders in the NBA who played in his 14th game of the season tonight, I think. And this guy got absolutely cooked on defense tonight.
Yep.
and he's supposed to be a lockdown defender. He got blown by Pat Connaughton. He falls for a pump fake in the post. And he's always picking up cheap fouls when the other team's in the penalty, sending them to the free throw line. And that's not a smart defender. That's not smart defense. And
when he doesn't play good defense, he is not an NBA caliber player.
Yeah, so
he's the same dude that was scratching to try and get in the league. But he's our mid-level exception, signing that freaking hard cap does and put us right up against the tax.
So yeah, that signing is looking really bad considering how it handicapped us with other moves and things like that. So unfortunately, like, that's not working out, and that was supposed to be the thing that helped this defense, and he can't even play, and then, I mean, at this point, as much as I hate to say this, you might have to move on from Nas. I don't know. I'm still willing to be patient with him if they keep him. Like, I'm not going to like tear into him or whatever, but the guy just is having trouble figuring it out on the court. So,
yep.
I do think he deserves an extended run to get his, mindset right and stuff like that. But like, I mean, yeah, like Eric Olson says, there's a point where you can't really be too much more patient with these guys. So, yeah, I mean, I don't want to be like super overreactionary, but like if we're talking about this team pivoted quickly and was like, you know what, we identified that Gary Payton just wasn't working out. And they trade him, right? And maybe Nas, like we absolutely love Nas, but we just feel like it was best to get a change of scenery and bring in someone else. If we're talking about that, I might give them credit for actually doing that. But if we just sit here and like, a month from now with the same problems and we're not doing anything to change and we're just kind of wasting a season by not even trying new things, it's going to be very frustrating to me.
Yep. Yeah, so I'm not even ready to give up on Nas, but I feel like
I'm not
giving
up on him.
Yeah, like I'm not even like considering moving off of him because I don't think he has as much value as people think he does.
Absolutely.
But also I never fully bought into the hype like a lot of people did. A lot of people fully bought into the hype last summer because of a couple Dame quotes about Nas. As if Dame hasn't always hyped up teammates before. And people buy into the hype when he has 5 good games. Guess what? He's had a ton of good 5-game stretches in his career. People gotta stop overreacting to Nasir Little stuff. Like, it is funny. We gotta start him. Time to trade Hart because he's ready to start because of 5 good games. And I was sitting here saying, like, he looks good, but I need to see it for another month. And people think that's hating on him. There's a reason why I got to see it for another month. There's a reason I got to see him play well for 2 months. It's not hate.
He's gone back to doing that huge leg kick, and I don't understand. He's like all out of sorts on his shot now. And like just a week ago, it looked so good and compact, and it looked like he had it locked in, and now he's just like flailing his arms and kicking out his legs, and it looks terrible. And it wasn't looking like that last week. Like I don't understand, um, like how it goes from like fix the broken to fix the broken. Like
some guys just can't consistently shoot the same way.
Yeah.
Some guys just can't find that completely repetitive shooting form. Yeah. You know, I don't know why, but there's always been guys like that. And he just seems like one of those guys like that. And people always want to talk about like, oh, consistent minutes this or minutes that, but you have to think there's a reason that he's not getting more minutes right now, right? Like, I don't know. I mean, I'm criticizing Chauncey, but I have a hard time believing that Nas wouldn't be playing more if he was playing well. And it's like he comes in and he's had a couple of absolutely horrible defensive games. And his shot, I mean, he's like 0 for his last 11. I don't care if you're getting inconsistent minutes. It's like he has one stretch. He has 5 games where he makes at least 2 threes a game and shoots above 50% from 3 every game. And then he has 5 games where he's like 0 for 13. Mm-hmm. And that's always been him, no matter what role or minutes or how he's used or whatever. That's always been who he's been. Trevin says it looks good after he doesn't play for a while, offseason out with injury, and then it reverts back. I mean, that's not good.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, he's got to stop using excuses. I'm like I said, I'm not writing him off for saying like it's a lost cause or anything like that. He's definitely capable of still turning it around. It's just like I don't know how patient they can afford to be. Like, let's say that Vanderbilt trade is on the table. Like, you bring in someone who you know has a defined role and can provide things right now. You don't have the upside of Nas anymore, but you know, you got a lengthy player that can play defense and stuff like that. So yeah, and I'm not saying we should do that. Like, I actually would be kind of upset with that trade, but I think at some point they need to consider those kind of moves if they want to, you know, give this Dame era a chance of that kind of stuff. But yeah, I don't know.
Yep.
We're able to let that play.
Yeah, let's do that right now. All right, here we go.
Nas and 4 firsts for Siakam does not work, AJ, because we don't have 4 firsts to trade, and Nas doesn't come close to matching his salary. So why would you ask us that, Chad? Come on, man.
Come on, Chad. You're in here enough to know. Anyway.
All right, so this play is early in the game, in the first quarter. I just want to show you like why our defense is screwed. Anyways, so this is a play where we basically form a wall, right?
Yeah.
At the free throw line, which is something that teams do against Giannis. But the point of the wall is to make Giannis shoot from 15 feet or out, right? Mm-hmm. And the point is to block him off from getting in there. So you don't necessarily need your center and your power forward and your small forward and one of your guards all being the 4. Like, you could have your 4 smallest guys up there, because a wall is a wall that he's not getting through there. So if he wants to pull up from 15 and shoot over the top of Hart and Dame and Ant, then that's the whole point. Like, let him do that, right? Like, that's probably our best chance of winning this game, would be to just make him shoot 15-foot jumpers the entire game and live with the results of that, right? But instead, we put our biggest guys out here, and as you go to the next slide, you will see that Giannis is just going to keep dribbling in here, right? And you can see Brook, smart player, realizes there's no big man in there, right? Mm-hmm. It's Anthony guarding a shooter in the corner and Brook Lopez, and he's the rim protector. So he's going to have to come with Brook, but Brook's smart. We got Dame not even looking at Drew Holiday, so if Giannis wants to, he could just dribble right at Dame and then pass to the corner for a wide open three-pointer for Drew Holiday. Or Drew could cut here and have a wide open lay in a dunk. And so, like, our defense is already screwed, like, just based on how we have our defense set up. So this is not even like, oh, we're outmanned or they have so much more talent than us. We literally give Brook Lopez like a wide open pass to the basket with only Anthony there to protect. And then we whine about, so go to the third slide, as he just sneaks in there. Drew, all four of those guys, they have no chance of even contesting this pass because they're too far away. And Anthony has to foul Brook. It's probably smart that he did. And this is the reason why our defense sucks. Like, you can't play defense like this. Like, you can't constantly put Anthony Simons and Damian Lillard in the restricted area, basically trying to guard Brook Lopez in this game, while our other guys just twiddle their thumbs at the free throw line, guarding players up top that don't even need to be guarded that tightly out there. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And we just took four defenders out of our defense in one play, and it was our four biggest defenders. Like, it makes no sense.
Yeah, it's bad.
Like, what is this game plan? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, that's bad. And then, what you got for play number 2?
All right, so the next play, we're once again. So what they did was they kind of had Drew hang around the middle of the paint, and they wanted to make him like the person who stops Giannis. So we have a case here where Dame's guarding Brook Lopez, but he's up top, so you can live with that. You got Josh Hart on Ingles, and believe it or not, right now Drew Eubanks is guarding Giannis with the ball, and this is fine, right? This is okay. So far, okay, right? And then Giannis is going to dribble into the free throw line. Hart and Dame kind of step in a little bit so he can't get a full head of steam down the lane, which is fine. You probably don't want to help too much because you have two shooters one pass away, so you don't want to get too far away, which we did a lot in this game. And Drew should just stand there, maybe one step further, and just make sure Giannis can't get, once he gets past those two, doesn't have a step where he can go either way around Drew. But overall, still pretty good, right?
Yep.
And so Drew comes out, forces Giannis to pass out to Joe Ingles here. Josh Hart recovers fine. So everything's going well. And then, so Drew has Giannis, right?
Yeah.
One of, if not the best player in the NBA, right?
Yeah.
All right, so that's your assignment, Drew, right? You're on Giannis. It's several. We're down to we've had a pass. Like, things are happening where defense is in good position, which is rare for us. And then, what does Drew do? He just stands there as Giannis slips, and you can see the next two slides. Giannis just gets more and more open down the middle as Drew forgets that he's guarding Giannis. And right here, like, Joe has already thrown the pass because he sees Drew not looking. And Giannis gets an easy dunk because Drew just fell asleep and forgot that he was guarding the best player in the NBA.
But Drew is high energy. He's not lazy. He doesn't fall asleep, I thought.
Wait, so Chad says, did you think Grant had help behind him? What? Wait, what? What is Drew helping, though? Like, so if he thought he had help when he was guarding who was Drew guarding then?
Yeah, no.
Like, no, that's not what happened. He simply got caught ball watching on Joe Ingles when he's supposed to, he's supposed to tag Giannis and stay with him at all costs in the middle.
I think he's saying, like, did he think he had help behind him from Grant? But you don't
leave
you don't just let Giannis have a free run from the free throw line to the rim. Like, that's a no-go.
If Drew just slides with them, they have no play here, and then they have to set something else up. They're probably fighting the shot clock, and we have a good defensive possession. But we literally just stop defending for a second, and that's all it takes. And yep.
I mean, but this is the type of stuff that Drew Eubanks does all the time, which is why I get so frustrated at him. But because he has a cool block once in a while, he's a great defender.
Yeah. Well, it's not necessarily just him, though. Like, lots of players make this mistake. But here's what'll happen, right? We'll play a team with, say, I don't know, Keldon Johnson or something in this position, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's not as crazy athletic as Giannis, so he might catch that lob and maybe Drew like reacts in time and blocks him from behind, right? But it's still a bad defensive possession because he like lost him and gave up that lob to begin with. It wasn't that he still recovered well, but yeah, it's like so many times that happens where he messes up and then he recovers quick enough. Well, to his credit, like that is a useful skill if you can recover fast enough. But yeah, a lot of times that happens. And this is 100% on him in this possession. So yeah.
David Miller says, "Here we go on the anti-Drew soapbox." What? So we're not supposed to talk about what happens in the game? Because this type of stuff happens all the time with him. Are we not supposed to talk about it? Are we supposed to just ignore it for the hell of it when he makes mistake after mistake? No, we talk about the game. The problem is he makes too many mistakes like this. When he doesn't make mistakes and he plays solid defense, we give him credit for it. There's been multiple games in the past 10 to 12 games where I've said, oh, he's playing a little bit more consistently on the defensive end, not making as many mistakes. Okay? But he makes a ton of defensive mistakes that seemingly go unnoticed, or people just give him every excuse in the book. Like, he's a minimum center. What do you expect? He's this, he's that. They give him every excuse. But it's like, Nurkic doesn't make this mistake anywhere near as often as Eubanks does, and Nurkic gets slandered all the time for stuff that isn't even his fault. But then you got your backup center doing this, but somehow he's supposed to be better than the starting center. I hear so many people talk about that. It drives me crazy. But that's the thing with Eubanks is, I'm not even trying to get mad at him or hold him to the same standard as Nurkic. I'm just trying to hold him to a basic standard, and he doesn't even pass that a lot of times because he makes stupid mistakes like this. This is a bad mistake, you know? And it's like, there's games where he's locked in, and he'll be fine defensively. So I don't think he's incapable of, like, playing a solid defensive game. He just loses focus and, like, doesn't stay locked in enough a lot of times. And that's the problem. So that's the thing. It's like, it's even more frustrating when I see him have a good defensive game, because it's like, okay, so you know where to be. You know how to... There's games where it'll be like, okay, well, why can't you do this all the time? You're playing some solid defense and we'll have a couple blocks, but then you're not making many mistakes. And it's like, okay, that's what we need from you. It doesn't seem like it would be that hard to do that consistently, but for whatever reason, he always has games where he makes a bunch of mistakes like this. So, you know, I truly don't want to be too hard on him, and I know I'm harder on him than any other player on the roster, but it's because of stuff like that, man.
Yeah, and the problem is he's an energy big that is now, like, used as a thing. And honestly, I mean, a lot of it is, I don't know what happened to my...
Yeah, I don't know. What's up with your webcam? Why is it so gray? What'd you do? You want me to recall?
Sure.
Okay. Here, let me recall him. Skype ringtone coming up. Why is it still gray?
I don't know. Something happened to it.
Nice finger. Your Skype settings get changed or something?
I'm literally just sitting here.
That's so strange. Is it... I mean... Yeah, I don't know. You're super gray. Eric taking rips over here.
I don't do that, so nope.
How's it called? Anyway, I have to bow out for like 10 minutes at some point in the next couple. But I would love to try and I don't know what to do with your webcam because I don't think it's your actual camera. I think it's just Skype being weird.
Yeah.
Skype hates people hating on Eubanks, yeah, apparently. But anyway.
This is the problem though with like once again, we said this on July 1st. You can't have Drew Eubanks be our starting center in this situation. And like, I mean, let's be honest. A lot of this is because we constantly see and have to deal with other media, other platforms. I mean, I flat out listened to an interview with Jason Quick in which he and the interviewee talked about how much better Eubanks is than Yusuf Nurkic and how he should be starting and all that. Yet when he's bad and we criticize and point out how that's incorrect, we're just being too hard on him. What are you supposed to expect out of a guy making a minimum contract and all that stuff? So that's where the frustration lies for me. And as a fan, I mean, like, I'm not tied to any of these guys professionally or whatever, so I'm going to speak my mind. But yeah, that's just where it comes from. Yeah.
We always have, we always will. People will hate us for it. You'll go on Reddit and see a lot of people who hate us for it. But we always speak our mind. We're blunt. You guys don't have to guess about what we're thinking. We share it. You know? Sure, maybe it's not as professional, quote unquote, as radio guys, but there's a reason you guys are listening to YouTube right now. You guys are all on YouTube right now. I mean, this is what you get. So anyway,
thank you to Braden Dennis for another $2 donation. In which he says Watford greater than Eubanks ?
I won't even go there, Eric, because Watford was terrible tonight too.
This is the problem though. Like, Watford he's not a center. And we talk about having length issues and stuff. Unfortunately, Watford's a tweener. And so against some teams, like the Washington game, obviously you can get away with it. But against the Bulls the next game, when we're playing Drummond and Vucevic, and tonight against, like Giannis and Brook Lopez, and they didn't even have Bobby Portis tonight, which would have made things even worse. Like, I don't know. Unfortunately for Watford, it's just there's some times where you can't be an undersized center, and it's not like playing small ball because like a lot of the things with small ball is you're quicker and stuff. So like he's not quick enough to be a 4, I think, and he's not big enough to be a 5. So like he has skills that are useful in my opinion, but unfortunately I don't think. I mean, it's the same thing with saying Eubanks over Nurkic in my opinion. It's like, unfortunately, like there's just like certain limitations to both of those guys to where I don't think it really even matters who's better or whatnot, because you're kind of limited with what you can do with both of them anyway.
Yep. There was something else I forgot.
I'm gonna try different things with the lighting or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's not the lighting. It just randomly changed when we came out of breakdowns. So, but like when I open up Skype, it looks like that. So I don't know what happened with it. I'm down to hang up and call again and see. I don't think it will change anything, but let's try again.
All right.
People love the Skype ringtone anyway, so.
I could restart my computer. Nope, still dead.
How long does it take for you to restart your computer?
Like 3 minutes.
You
2 minutes.
Do that, and then I'll let you solo because I gotta go.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Cool. So, but basically, I know Eric is still going to be listening to this, hopefully. But Trent Watford's basically, here's what he is. He is a slightly more efficient, slightly worse defensive version of Justice Winslow. Slightly slower version of Justice Winslow. He's a slightly better finisher, probably a slightly better three-point shooter. He started to knock down some threes, but there's times it's like he's been shooting the ball well. There was a couple times where he passed up open threes in this game, and it was frustrating. It's like, dude, shoot the ball with confidence. When you shoot the ball with confidence, it's looked decent the past 3 games. So, Chad Coe, I remember watching that shot too. That was good. That was cool. Ernesto, I mean, I'm not surprised. That probably won't make a difference anyway. I just want us to make a good trade. Um, anyway. Okay, let's see it. Still not better, but that's fine. You got a solo. I'll be back.
Okay.
Your turn.
Did the blur get turned on?
Oh, yeah, I think that's what it was. All right, I'll be back. Let me fix you. There.
I don't know what happened. Sorry, everyone. Let me try. Yeah. Sorry, I don't know what happened. All right, let me bring chat back up on my computer so I can talk to you guys. While I'm doing that, please give me what you guys want to talk about, because quite frankly, I think we're all tired of talking about this game tonight. So let's talk about something else, whether that be trades or whatever else you guys want to talk about. Trade deadline trades. Nas for Vando. Jake Layman discussion. Outside of the Blazers, how's everyone doing tonight? You all good? Let's see. AJ says he's still confused. So if we hypothetically got Vando for Keon in 2 seconds, it would still put us in the tax rate. Yes, that is correct. So the reason why we didn't use the trade exception is because most scenarios where they would use it would put the Blazers into the tax most likely. So I don't think they found a trade for a player, including Jared Vanderbilt, that they were willing to go into the tax for. So, yeah. So yeah, I don't think it's a big deal that they didn't use it. If they make, like if they trade Josh Hart or something and bring in a bigger piece that's more than the $6.5 million, if one of those contracts is more than that, it wouldn't have probably mattered. Now, they could have possibly done some things to make that contract, basically given them another trade exception for about $4 million. Let's just say if like Justice Winslow was the guy going out, or Justice and Keon, they could have created 2 smaller trade exceptions for their contracts that would have lasted a year, and that would have been, nice to have that next year. But I mean, there's still a chance, if they're going after a player. I mentioned Dorian Finney-Smith earlier. If he's someone that I would call for. So Keon and Greg Brown III for Vando does not keep us out of the tax, because Fanspo is slightly off with our tax calculation. And on top of that, we would have to sign another player. So when we sign someone, we'd be in the tax anyway. So even if it didn't, we would be in the tax after we signed a player. So couldn't do that. So you can't trade 2 for 1 in that situation. No, they could trade Winslow and Keon and create a couple $1 million under the tax and then sign someone to that spot because they'd have like 2 million or so to play with. So that's probably the yeah. Yeah, and so in terms of Vanderbilt's value, I mean, I've been saying this since the Gobert trade. I'll say it again. I said it on our stream earlier today. I'll gladly accept Jared Vanderbilt for, an expiring contract or Winslow and Keon in seconds or whatever. I hope that's true. I would love that to be the case. And then, we basically get another rotation piece without giving up anyone that's playing in the rotation right now. But if I'm Danny Ainge, I like to put myself in the other GM's position. I'm sitting here with a 23-year-old Jared Vanderbilt who is coveted by just about every playoff contending team. And he's a player that is under contract for like $4.7 million next year, I believe. So you still have him for cheap next year. I'm saying give me a first, or I'm not trading him, and then I'm just going to keep him, and I'm going to try to trade him at the draft for like a similar trade to what the Dallas Mavericks did with the Christian Wood trade, where they gave up like the 26th pick and salary filler, and I'm just going to do that. So I'm just going to wait with him, and then you could always get a couple seconds for him this summer or next year, right? So, I don't know why he has to take lesser value than what he's worth. So, I don't see any reason why they would. Now, I know that's the rumor out there that they're lowering their asking price or whatever. I'd just be surprised if ultimately Winslow and a couple seconds is what gets Vanderbilt to Portland, because I'm sure there might be another team. I don't know, an example. What if it's like Peyton Pritchard and a couple seconds from Boston or something? Is that like worse than or better than, like, you know what I mean? Like there's probably like a younger player on another team that Utah maybe likes a little more because they obviously don't really like Keon that much. Otherwise, he probably would be in Utah already. So yeah, it's just a case where I don't know what they're really doing if they just give them up for seconds. So I don't know. Yeah, OKC has 1 million picks. They could give one up. There's lots of teams with picks that need defensive depth right now. So, yeah. I mean, even a team like Indiana, who's not necessarily going for it this year, but it's, been better than expected, but are kind of falling back into that play-in range, maybe not making the playoffs range. I mean, they're looking for big depth and power forward of the future type thing. They have Boston's first round from the Malcolm Brogdon trade, which is right now the 30th pick. So I could see them giving up the 30th pick, and then Ainge can say he was successful in getting a first round pick or whatever. And it's Boston's pick, so it feels even better for him. But yeah. Do Magic value Mo Bamba a lot? No, but so here's the thing. Mo Bamba, Nerlens Noel, I heard recently as potential trade targets for the NBA or for the Blazers before Thursday. What what are the Blazers like? So we're trading Hart for Bomba or Nerlens Noel for like a backup center who's not even that good. Like what are we trading to get those guys? Um, so it doesn't really make sense. I don't know what how they expect to get those. Um, like I guess there's a chance if Nerlens Noel is still on the Pistons, he gets bought out, and that's a completely different story. But for strictly talking about trade right now, even Gary Payton II for Bomba doesn't make sense because that would put us in the tax. And I don't think they're going to do that for a center who can't even play on a rebuilding team as a sixth pick. Um, so, yeah, like some of these players, if they're still on their current team, I don't think the Magic would just give up on Bomba completely and buy him out. Um, but yeah, I mean, buyout market maybe. But at the same time, right now, if we don't do a trade to get at least $1 million under the tax line, we couldn't even sign anyone anyway because signing that buyout player will put us over the tax line. So someone's saying we said that the buyout was unlikely. At the time, there were teams like Dallas who were said to be and I think this still might happen, but there are teams that are rumored to have deals in place for players like Nerlens Noel, but Detroit wants a little more, but they're not going to get more. So I would be surprised if Nerlens Noel is still on the Pistons after the deadline, but yeah, I guess you are correct that it's possible that they're still on the team. And yeah, I'm not even convinced, like Taylor Packer says, that they even think backup center is really that big of a problem. Yeah. Shout out to Braden Dennis again for another $2 donation. Thank you so much. Most realistic trade you think is going to happen? I mean, I still think the most realistic is a Vanderbilt trade. Yeah, for the Blazers. I know they're trying to do a little more. Yeah. The problem is, like every other trade's not realistic necessarily. I mean, the Nets now have a ton of defensive wings, so I would definitely be calling them for, one of Royce O'Neal or Dorian Finney-Smith or someone like that. If you can get one of those guys for Hart, I think that's a slam dunk. So Vanderbilt's like 6'9" with good length, the wingspan stuff. So yeah. I think Dorian Finney-Smith would be perfect for Portland. He's like the kind of aggressive point of attack defender we need. He can hit the three consistently, not afraid to shoot them, can get up and down the court. So yeah, I would have called the Bucks or the Nets immediately when that trade happened, asking if they want Hart, because that was one of the rumors that Hart. They were one of the teams that wanted Hart. I don't know how much they value Finney-Smith, but I would definitely inquire to that. But yeah, if you could give up Hart and some seconds, now that he has a trade kicker that bumped his salary up this year in that trade, I think it's pretty much exactly what Hart's making. So you flip those two out, and you have Dorian Finney-Smith locked up for another 3 years on a really good contract, or maybe 2 years with an opt-out the third year. Don't remember off the top of my head. So yeah, I would definitely get in on some of those type of pieces. And then, I mean, this isn't really realistic either, but it was said that Terrence Mann was involved in the, or potentially one of the pieces that they offered for Kyrie the Clippers, I would be calling the Clippers and see if there's any way you could get Terrence Mann, because he's on a good contract the next couple of years as well. So I'd be looking at that. Someone who could take Josh's spot, but also is under contract for about the same amount for the next couple of years, so you don't worry about losing him in free agency this summer. Excuse me. Yeah, I don't like I don't really like any of the Cavs packages. Ugh. Excuse me for just a second. Still trying to fight off the last stages of a cold from last week. I apologize. But yeah, some of the guys, I mean, we've been mentioning this all year. Caleb Martin, PJ Washington, Daniel Gafford, Terrence Mann, Dorian Finney-Smith now. Those are the kind of guys I'd be looking at right now in terms of that, of like what I'd be finding out for. I don't know how gettable any of those guys are right now. Yeah. Outside of the Vanderbilt thing, the only thing I've heard is that the Blazers were trying to go big. And I don't know how big that is. The only thing that makes sense if they were going super big, I think, would be Siakam. Yeah, little scrappy. As I mentioned earlier, I don't do that, so yeah. An air purifier, yeah. I don't like, my camera was fine, and then all of a sudden it just went all. I think it's something with Skype. But yeah, in terms of an all-in move, where I stand, I'm always the type that kind of overvalues draft picks, future firsts, things like that. Young players, so I don't really like giving up first for like multiple unprotected firsts and Sharp and whatever it would take to get a Siakam. But I totally understand why someone would justify that, and why that would be good for Dame to go all in. I just don't like giving up unprotected picks, because no matter where you're picking, you can always there's multiple examples in pretty much every draft of someone who turns out to be, an all NBA or all-star type level player. And so yeah, there's I mean, look at Chris Middleton for the Bucks. He's a guy who was a second round pick, and you make a pick like that, and that completely changes your franchise. And so yeah, the problem is, I understand that it's hard to like justify that with Dame being 32 and stuff. I get it. And the problem is, like Kyrie, like several people are talking about, oh, Dallas made a trade for Luka to get him a second star, and Portland doesn't. But like, Kyrie doesn't make sense with Dame, so like that. Donovan Mitchell didn't really necessarily make sense with Dame, maybe at the time of the draft. We should have probably moved CJ, but CJ was coming off a near 50, 40, 90 shooting year and looked to be just an absolute star in the making. And then he kind of regressed a little bit the next couple of years. So unfortunately, they hitched their wagon to that a little too long, probably. But they made a great trade for Jeremy Grant. Whether that was credit to Cronin or not, that was a good move. But now they're in a position where, do you pay him $35 million a year Or do you look to move him by Thursday now? Maybe that's how you get a big move, but then does that really change your team that much? Like, let's say we end up giving up Grant and some first and Sharp for Siakam. Are we really that much different than we are now? I don't know. Like, yeah, obviously a little better, but I don't know if it's like going from where we are now to like a below 500 team to contender if we do that. So unfortunately, I think we need to make a move that doesn't cost us one of our top 3 players, and yeah, it's just hard to do because the positions we need players at are ones that you have to overpay for, and I don't know. Al Max says, what would it take to get Herb Jones? Sharp, straight up. Who says no? Both teams. Well, I don't know about the Pelicans, but for sure the Blazers say no to that. They value Sharp too much to trade him for that. But yeah. Yeah, I agree. I agree with you there, Zen Master. I'm not a huge Kyrie fan. I think he's I don't know. I think he's gotten pretty lucky with the situations he's been in his career, and if Dame had the supporting cast that he's had in several stuff, there's no doubt Dame would have multiple rings. So yeah, I don't really read into too much of that. Eric Olsen said, "When's the last time a player of Grant's caliber wanted to come to Portland?" Yeah, exactly. Now you just got to hope that everything he's said so far isn't a LaMarcus Aldridge, because unlike Dame, we don't know for sure where Grant's loyalty lies. Is he true to his word and stuff? Like, I mean, I lean towards yes. I do believe that he just wants that 5th year instead of 4 years. But I don't know. I'm fine like keeping him, but they have to make a move to get someone else, obviously, too, because what they're doing right now with him on defense just isn't ideal for his style or for the team overall. So yeah. And part of the thing is too, I mean, you got to find guys who become the next ones of these players, because like Jeremy Grant wasn't like a high pick either, so you got to find those guys and develop them, and that's what they were hoping that player like Nas would become. Anthony's obviously gone from a late 1st round pick to a star, so yeah. Dave Miller asks, do you think Grant can move to the 3 spot? Yes and no. I've been like, until like the last few weeks, a strict Grant is not a 3. It'd be terrible if he's at the 3. Like all the analytics when he plays the 3 versus the 4 throughout his career have it a certain way. But if you get the right 4 next to him or the right 3 next to him, I don't think you have to like call either one the 3 or the 4. So it's more just how they're used in that position. Because if they move into the 3 and they play him the same way, just at small forward, like where he's guarding the best ball handler and stuff like that, and the other person we bring in is someone similar to him where they're not good at getting through screens either, then I don't think that'll work out. But if they get a 3 or a 4 that is good, like let's just say Dorian Finney-Smith or whatever, like I don't think, I mean, obviously DFS would be the small forward. So like, I think it's more just about how that other forward would fit with that player versus what position Grant's best at or whatever. So I don't think it really matters.
Okay, I'm back.
Hey, what's up?
Okay, not much. Okay, what are we talking
about? Just the kind of like what we should do with everyone. Yeah.
So there's 5 distinct paths. And that's do nothing. That's trade for Vanderbilt, trade for OG, trade for Siakam or like do some other random trade that maybe we've talked about it, maybe we haven't.
Mm-hmm.
I think those are the five distinct paths, right? Obviously, doing nothing, don't need to talk about that. Vanderbilt trade we've talked about a bunch, and that could manifest itself in different ways. OG Anunoby, I think if we could figure out how to get a first-round pick back for Hart, we'd maybe be willing to give up 2 firsts on top of that for OG if we're trying to make a splash, and you look at our defense, obviously it'd be a huge help with that. If you could get our first back for Hart, then it's basically giving up Hart and 2 firsts for OG. If you flip, the first we get back plus 2 extra firsts, and Toronto gets their 3 firsts for OG, which is probably an overpayment. If we can do it for less, obviously, we try and do it. But it's questionable whether we can get a first for Hart or whatever. So the Siakam thing is the most interesting because I think if we're willing to give up Sharp, we instantly become a front runner for him. Like, I know there's rumors about Brooklyn, Nick Claxton on top of other assets and this and that, but, I mean, I don't think that makes any sense for Brooklyn. I don't think they're going to go over the top with Nick Claxton because he's a top 5 defender this year. But you look at Toronto, if they're trading Siakam, they're truly hitting the rebuild button. If you could get somebody of Sharp's caliber as a prospect, plus he's, Canadian, I'm sure that might count a little bit. A homegrown potential future superstar, right? Vince Carter 2.0. That's the thing is when you're rebuilding a team, you want to be able to pitch the fan base on something, and Sharp is a guy they'd love, obviously. Sharp is just such a good prospect to lead a package with for Siakam. Obviously, there'd be other pieces to match salary, but I think it's basically a situation of you'd have to trade Sharp in order to get Siakam. It comes down to the whole Siakam route. It comes down to, are they willing to trade Sharp for Siakam? In my opinion. So, I don't know. I don't know what the answer to that is. If they're desperate enough, maybe they will. But if you trade Shaedon Sharp, you have to be 100% confident that you're going to be a contender. You cannot trade Sharp and be a first-round exit.
And that also means I think you have to have the commitment to the owner to be like a deep tax team next year and do whatever it takes that way. No more skirting around, not being able to sign anyone and doing that kind of stuff either.
Yep.
Because frankly, if she's like, oh, you have to kind of be close to the tax line, so in case I want to go under, like if that's the mindset from the owner, going into any of these trades, I don't think it's worth even going all in for anyone, because unless it's KD, you're going to be limited on what you can put around those guys in.
Yep. I don't think we end up doing it, but that's obviously the path. And then we've discussed the OG Vando paths. Yeah. We've discussed random guys like PJ Washington and whatnot. Somebody said OG is too much because the Knicks offered 3 firsts and they said no, but the Knicks draft pick situation, they have some picks that aren't super valuable. I didn't update that graphic. I need to update the graphic because I don't think the protections are right on a couple of those picks. I was hoping they were. Anyway, that's something for me to remember. But like some of the New York picks aren't super valuable because they got them from other teams and there's heavy protections on them. Like the Detroit pick, I think the Detroit pick was right here. Yeah, the Detroit pick is protected 1 through 18 in 2023, 1 through 18 in 2024, 1 through 13 in 2025, 1 through 11 in 2026, 1 through 11 in 2027. Then it turns into seconds, right? Like that's not as valuable as a lightly protected Blazer pick. So not all first round picks are equal value or the same. That is something to remember when you hear, oh, this team got offered 3 firsts for a player. What were those firsts is the question for that. I'm not expecting anything super good, though. I don't trust this organization, is what it comes back to. Anyway, Eric, you were going to say something earlier, and I wanted to finish that up. So what were you going to say?
I don't know.
Oh, well,
I was trying to figure out my camera, but
yeah, I don't know what happened.
I don't think
is it like your Skype settings? If you go to like
literally when you went to the Brandt's breakdown, something
Yeah,
It
but
got
like
got messed up.
it's outside of my streaming software because it looks that way through Skype.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I mean I'm
maybe we
here with
switch to Zoom in the future. I don't know. Oh, that's strange. If you maybe try disconnecting and reconnecting your camera in the video settings.
I've already tried that when I restarted it.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. That's super weird. Super, super, super weird.
Yeah, everything's normal in the settings.
Yeah. Oh well, it's not that bad. You're just a gray man. Anyway. We'll take questions, I guess. I don't know. I don't know where you want to go with this. I'm kind of tired, but I don't know if I'm physically tired, mentally tired, or just tired of this team. So, who do you think will be the biggest buyer Thursday? The Knicks.
I think it's going to be the Nets still. I think they're not done. And I also think the Clippers are going to make a big move.
Yeah, but the Clippers don't have a ton of assets. It's possible. I mean, they made a big move last year without any assets, but
that's 2 rotation players.
You know, I mean, who else is a Joe Cronin out there? I think the Knicks, because they have young players and many picks, and they're looking for, you know, potentially a center upgrade, a starting wing upgrade.
Wallace, the Toronto's not going to trade Precious right now. So he's part of their rebuild. If they rebuild, then he's good enough to. He's been playing really well, so he's good enough to be there still if they decide not to rebuild. So I don't see why they'd move him.
Yep.
And once again, Toronto's players are way overvalued by Ujiri, and you have to overpay to get them, and it just doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yep. Kyle Wilson says, I don't know if you touched on this, but would y'all do a Vando plus first round pick for Hart trade? I mean, that's too much to get back for Hart, honestly. Like, you're looking at Hart for Vando and maybe another piece.
Why
not Vando plus a first?
First of all, Utah doesn't even want Hart, so they're not giving up a first and Vando to do that. They're looking for more first. So maybe there's a player out there from a third team, but if that player is good enough to get a first back for Hart and that player, I'd almost think that we'd be better off with that player. And then, I don't know, Utah's, I think, just looking for those picks. So, yeah, I don't see any way of getting both unless a team gives up like way too much for Hart, but I don't really see that happening either.
All right, you want to listen to Chauncey?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yay. I see an ad that says, "You stole my heart," with a ring that has an X and an O on it, Eric.
Nice.
Oh yeah, Valentine's Day's imagine celebrating Valentine's Day.
A week from, well, in an hour it'll be a week from.
Yeah.
Or yeah.
Yeah. All right.
You had the physicality, even though you were outmatched height, weight wise.
Yeah, I thought we played hard. You know. Yeah.
We knocked it out in the first freaking phrase. We played hard, baby. Both teams played hard. Dude, Rashid would love Chauncey. Well, Rashid played with Chauncey. Won a championship with Chauncey. So
Bring
maybe Chauncey's just taking this after Rashid.
She needs to be on the coaching staff.
Yeah. I mean, Rashid might as well give our post-game press conferences at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a big team, you know, from top to bottom. But I thought we played hard, and, you know, I wanted us to get up and down and shoot 40-some threes today, you know. They usually kind of playing a little bit of a drop coverage.
I'm already mad. Sorry. I'm already mad because I'm so tired about the size excuses, dude. There was 10 players, Eric, that played regular rotation minutes for the Bucks today. Only 2 of them were like above 6'7".
Mm-hmm.
And that was Brook Lopez and Giannis.
They started Pat Connaughton and
Grayson Allen and Drew Holiday.
They're not physically imposing or anything like that.
And off the bench, they had Chris Middleton, Javon Carter, Wes Matthews, Marjon Beauchamp, and Joe Ingles.
Yep.
Like, Chauncey's just like, oh, you fed me an excuse with your question? Sure, I'll take it. Anyway.
They kind of came up on the ball threes today. And, I wanted us to get up and down and shoot 40-some threes today, They usually kind of playing a little bit of a drop coverage. They kind of came up on the ball early in the game, but we still were able to, get threes and get shots, and just couldn't really make. But I thought that was going to be our opportunity in this game, was to be able to get up and down. They try to force you in the mid-range shots. And when we played them the first time, I think 40% of our, pick-and-roll shots were mid-range. And I said, we can't beat this team that way. We got to work harder for threes or layups. And I thought for the most part we did, and just couldn't make, man.
I mean, I will say this. The Blazers got some really unlucky rolls on some shots today.
Yeah.
All my criticism, though, is control the controllables. As I always said, you can control the controllables. Whether a shot goes in or out or goes in, sure, of course, you could just shoot it the perfect way every time, but that's impossible, right? Like, sometimes you're going to have nights where it's just barely off. You can't control that. It's always going to happen, so you got to control what you can control, though. But that's the thing. They had that one that rolled in that looked like it was an offensive goaltend that hit the top of the backboard and went in on a 3, and then we had, 5 or 6 jumpers in this game that rattled halfway down and out. Mm-hmm. Sometimes that happens, but that's the thing. You change all the fortunes on all that, we still lose this game. Yep. We still lose. So, anyway. I'll play the rest of this thing. It's 5.5 minutes.
On the three-point shooting, Nasir Little was a guy a couple weeks ago who's starting to really show it. But what does he have to do to get on the floor a little bit more?
He just got to kind of be consistent, Nas is a guy who we all know can really shoot it, He's been very inconsistent, and when he came back, he was obviously making shots, and things I talk with Nas about is just so many missed assignments defensively. And I just always have felt like when you're a reserve and when you're coming off of the bench, your margin of error is really small. You got to kind of do most things right, and that's the only way you earn more, because you are a reserve. And some nights, Nas does a really good job, and some nights he struggles. It just is what it is. Nas is still a very young player. But, it's it's not always, even for all of our younger guys, it's not the shot making that's always going to keep you on the floor. It's all the other things.
What do they do that makes it so difficult? Or made it so difficult for you guys to get good looks?
Well, they do a really good job of not letting you score at the basket.
Ask about the
playing,
defense.
And Brook is probably the best in the league at protecting the rim. He's been for, 5 or 6 years. And they also, Drew is maybe the best guard in the league and guarding the ball, guarding pick and roll. So even when you set that screen really high, he sheds that screen and he's right there for kind of a rear view contest to keep you uncomfortable on the shot, which now pushes you inside the three-point line where they want you at. And they just do a really good job of that, They've been really good at it. They made some adjustments to their defense this year, to be honest with you, but they used to give up the most threes in the league because of that drop coverage. Not this year. I got to give them a ton of credit. Bud has done a really good job, but they're still a really dominant defense, but they're not giving up as many threes, so you got to work even harder to get those looks.
Chauncey, you guys didn't shoot your first couple free throws until
Real quick, sorry, can I say something?
Yeah.
So, okay. He just mentioned two things. One is the big man is always around the basket, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is their point guard, fights through screens and gets around him and sticks with the guy. He didn't say anything about how they switched or have length Giannis guarding Dame, so it's hard because of his length, right? It was that he fights through screens and they don't switch and they protect the rim, right? Like, why? I don't understand how a coach could sit there and see how effective that is from another defense, but then do the complete opposite when it comes to your defense and think that it's going to produce similar results or ever be different than what it is.
Yeah. Also, the fourth question is being asked right now. We're almost 4 minutes into this 5.5-minute interview, and this question is also not about the defense. We have not had a single question about the defense yet, which is interesting. So, asking about free throws right now.
Well, especially it's really hard to do, especially when you got a team as good as that. You know, as you want to try to get on the free throw line and slow them down so you can set your defense. But, you know, we knew that it was going to be a tough night tonight. It was only 2 referees. You know, a lot of things kind of can slide through when it's only 2 guys out there. They can't see everything. So you try to take that into consideration when you're all over them. You know, it's a tough job for them. So that hurt. You know, that was pretty bad. But you know, we kept going. You know, we kept going. I thought in the second half we did a much better job of just attacking the rim. And you know, as you see, we end up with 29 free throws. But it was an uphill climb all night, man.
Chauncey, on the road trip, particularly when you guys got going offensively in those games, a lot of it was either Dame or Ant and the high horns, pick and rolls, bringing 2 up high, even when like Chicago blitzed hard. Why not go to something like that against Milwaukee in general? Is it just because of how high they'll bring their defense out and broke on the back?
Yeah,
We gave up 127 points. Ask about the freaking defense. Oh my god, dude. I don't think there's a single... We got 30 seconds left, Eric. We gave up 127 points to a team that their best player was in foul trouble, didn't play much compared to the usual. Their second best player's on a minutes restriction and is still coming back from injury. And we gave up 127 points. I mean, I would love a question about the defense. The only thing he talked about the defense, Trevin, was somebody asked him why Nas wasn't playing more, basically. And he said it's because he misses too many defensive assignments. That's the only defense we talked about. And he brought it up on his own. I'll listen to the final 30 seconds, but we're asking about an offensive set. I mean, we gave up 127 points and our defense sucks. I would have loved a question about that.
We went to it. Yeah, we went to it. They did a pretty good job. They trapped it a little bit. They showed really high up the floor, try to get the ball out of either Dame or Ant's hands. And they played it good. You give them credit. They played it good. We got it to the pocket a few times on it, and you know didn't make the proper read on it. But we definitely it's a play that we really like, and we tried it. They did a good job on it.
End of interview. Okay, well, Eric, takeaways.
About what I expected it was going to be.
Did they say before the game, okay, don't ask about the defense? Or before the interview?
I don't know. I mean, you know what they're going to say. They're going to say that they don't have the length and front court to defend a team like that. So I mean, literally said that in his first answer.
Pathetic. Should have hired Mark Jackson as a comment. Nope, Mark Jackson sucks too.
Should have hired Will Hardy.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's got that team playing hard.
Yeah, granted, it's because they're great on offense and bad on. They're still bad on defense. They're kind of like us, but the thing is, they weren't supposed to be good. We were supposed to at least be decent, right? I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it all, man. I need the trade deadline to be here.
I still don't know how Milwaukee was only a 4-point.
I know. That's crazy that they're only a 4-point favorite. Shout out to you if you cashed in on Bet Online on the Bucks. I was shocked to see that spread today. Anyway. Chat, thoughts?
Jackson says easy double down.
All good says Will Hardy a joke, right? The guy who played drop on Dame. Well, yeah, I think they want to lose.
Yeah. Are they trying to win necessarily or not?
Yeah. Jeff Van Gundy, bro. Nick, we get it. Fire Billups and hire anyone who's coached anything before. Reese says, went to a Blazers vs. Bucks game to watch Brook Lopez be the best player. Yee. I like the yee at the end. Yeah. Yeah. Well, if you told me their starting power forward and center were going to combine for 51 points, I would assume Giannis had 40 and Lopez had 11. Instead, Giannis had 24 and Lopez had 27. They combined, Eric, to shoot 18 for 26 from the field. But yeah, we don't have the length to defend Brook Lopez. Well, is that a shot at Cronin? Also, Eubanks isn't that much smaller than him. I mean, God.
Our defense was so bad that Brook Lopez caught the ball twice at the 3-point line and drove all the way to the hoop.
Yeah. At the start of the game, he had 2 buckets off dribble drives and a 3.
I bet it's been like 3 years since he's caught the ball at the 3-point line and gotten all the way to the basket against the legit defense.
Well, he wasn't going against the legit defense because I think it was Eubanks defending him.
That's what I'm saying. If he was playing against a normal defense, I don't think he does that at all anymore at his age. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, we just didn't have enough length. So, how do we stop Brook Lopez from putting the ball on the floor from the 3-point line? God, I hate it.
It happened twice in the first 2 minutes of this game.
Nick Thompson, we get it. Please stop spamming.
Coach K is retired.
We get it. Do I prefer big swing? I just prefer anything where we don't lose asset value in a trade. As long as the value is decent on a trade, I'm happy because my standard is very low.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony Simmons says, I don't know if you guys noticed, but there were multiple rebound opportunities for Grant to get a rebound, and bro got manhandled by Pat Connaughton, LOLs. Yeah, I mean, well, that's Jeremy Grant for you. Doesn't rebound, so. But you got to keep him. He's not going to have much value on an expiring. Yeah, I mean, you got to re-sign him. They're kind of, he's good. He's just. He would be the perfect 4 for us if he was better getting through screens and if he would rebound. But those 2 things are problematic. If you had a good on-ball defender at the 3, then it wouldn't be as problematic. So Grant, I think, is better if you don't rely on him to be your main on-ball stopper.
Tori comments on Yusuf Nurkic for Ben Simmons.
Why the hell? Who the hell said that? Where'd you find that? Is
It's
that
in
in
our
chat?
Yeah.
Where's it? I don't even see it. Thoughts on? Is my chat behind? I don't know. I don't even see it. Which is oh, I see it. Ben Simmons for Nurk? No.
Well,
No.
first of all, man, like, please consider contracts. I know you were trolling, but like, Nurk makes 15 million. Ben makes what 35 or something, like that.
You can toss out like a two-way player for a max player, and
Yeah,
Nurk will still explain that it doesn't work.
yeah, yeah. I mean, what are we doing? Like, Ben Simmons has been trash this year. I think he's broken. Like, I would rather have Nurk on this team right now. So what are you gonna do? Play Ben Simmons and have the problem at two positions, or no one wants to shoot a three or can't shoot a three? I don't know.
Cameron says, my friend who doesn't watch a lot of basketball asked me in this game why the big white guy, Eubanks, keeps switching onto the smaller guy. I told him I would like to know that too. Yeah, I mean, switch your slower player onto your quicker player, then switch your smaller player onto their bigger player. Yeah, seems like a great strategy when you already have a little bit of a length deficit. Let's just make it even worse. That's the thing. If you're sitting here complaining about length deficit, why are you switching smalls onto bigs then?
Well, because then you can use the excuse that they're bigger. Because you can just be like, see, Anthony is trying to guard Brook Lopez. What is he supposed to do? I need some bigger players.
I literally want to bang my head against my mic. I'm not having fun.
Yeah.
Nick, if you keep spamming the same type of comments, we gonna have to do something about it. There's a no spam rule. We get it. Taylor, what are you having fun with?
Chad asks, deal happens on the deadline or before the deadline? And anyone who tells you anything other than that's just a guess answer is completely, just they're lying, because that would just be a guess. So I'm not gonna pretend like I know that they're waiting till the last minute or whatever. Now, a smart GM, if they were planning on trading a bunch of guys like, I don't know, Robert Covington and Norman Powell and CJ McCollum and Larry Nance, might wait until closer to the deadline to kind of leverage teams and see in a market where a lot of teams are interested in those players if you can get one of them to cave a little more than just giving them up at the first offer you get for them. So like a smart GM would do that. So who knows? Like that would be, like I said earlier, if I'm Danny Ainge, I would 100% wait until like 11 a.m. Pacific time for the 12 o'clock deadline. I wouldn't even entertain offers for Vando. I would every offer that came to me, I would say, if it's not a first, call me back if you change your mind and give me something more, and I would just keep him, and that's how I would play it. So every GM is a little different. I don't know. I mean, this team has been sputtering for a while. I felt like even if it was a small move, they've needed to make a move just to like get a different vibe or something for a while now. And so like I don't know, but it would just be a guess if they're waiting until the deadline to make a move or not. I mean, I don't know how much more information they need, but maybe the game Wednesday night will determine whether or not someone's good in their eyes or not, which is really sad, but wouldn't put it past them.
Reese, yeah, Dylan Brooks is overrated. I don't like Dylan Brooks. And his 48.7% true shooting percentage. Tyler Smith says Nurk for Norman Powell. Well, how about Keon Johnson, Justice Winslow, and a second-round pick for Norman Powell? Let's just say that hypothetically worked. Do you guys think we would even have a chance of being able to do that deal? Let's just say it's for a player equivalent to Norman Powell. Who's a player equivalent to Norman Powell? Like, I couldn't sit here thinking, like, yeah, maybe if we give up Justice Winslow, Keon Johnson, and a second, we can get a player averaging 17 points per game. Or whatever Norm's averaging. What is he at right now? Yeah, 17 points per game. Efficient 17 points per game. He struggled to start the year, but he's been phenomenal lately. True shooting percentage of 62%. 17 points per game, Eric. Keon Johnson, Justice Winslow in a second for a guy that's doing that. And also, like, a decent veteran who can play some team defense and knock down a three thrown in just for the hell of it. I couldn't imagine expecting, like, if we came up with that trade idea, it would be, that's not even close to realistic. No team would ever take that crappy package.
Probably get vetoed in her mock-off season.
Yeah, like, I mean, just, that's the thing. It's like, Justice ain't even playing for us right now. Keon's not playing for us right now. Eric Bledsoe didn't result in anything. Imagine our bench woes earlier in the season if you had Norman Powell off the bench, hypothetically. Like, I don't think we should have kept him, but... And then if you had Robert Covington as, like, a 3-and-D team defender off the bench at the... Like... That's what's so sad. You know? I mean, yeah, we'd be in the tax, so, you know, there's reasons why. It's just like, dude, we lost assets, and now we have no assets. And now we're complaining, like, how do we make this team better? This team has many needs. We can't trade future first. We don't have any other teams first. We don't have enough good players on this team.
Well, and he says, as a Pelican fan, y'all have any more of those trade deadline deals? So.
I hope not. I hope we're out.
Yeah. I mean, like, yeah, come in and clown our deadline deals. I don't care. Like, that's not even trolling at this point.
It's funny because I'll be right there with you. Like, man,
but that's how bad it was. Like, it's almost it is a year later, and we have a Pelicans fan coming in here clowning us for the way our deadline deals are not.
We literally ended up with a Milwaukee 2025 first, Josh Hart, and a bunch of crap for CJ McCollum, Norm Powell, Robert Covington, and Larry Nance Jr. That's crazy to think about. The only reason it was salvageable at all was because Jeremy Grant wanted to come here and we just flipped that Milwaukee first for him. But that's the only way it was salvageable. God, that was such a bad deadline. That's why I'm not even looking forward to this year's deadline. I'm scared. I'm going to wake up scared tomorrow. If I hear... You know, the Bestie Fire song, wake me up, Eric. I'm gonna be... I might scream, you know, out of terror, because I'm gonna be scared. And then, before I pick up the phone, I'm gonna, like, scroll through my notifications from Twitter. I couldn't imagine you calling me about a trade and, like, me picking it up and your voice sounding excited or happy. Like, I've picked it up before. You're like, we just ruined the deadline. I don't remember what it was last year, but, like, there's been trades before. It was like, we just did... Oh, no, the Norm trade, you called me and you were like, we just did something so stupid. I'm like, what did we do? What could we have possibly done that has you this mad? Like, because I could tell your voice was just dripping with rage. I was like, what? Scared, right? And I'm like... What'd we do? You're like, we gave away Norman Rocco for nothing. I'm like, well, we had to get something back, right?
Yeah. Oh.
and then you said Justice Winslow, and I'm like, oh God, the Clippers don't have assets, and we're talking about Justice Winslow.
I know you hated.
Oh, and I've never been a fan of Justice Winslow. Yeah. Oh man, yeah. So. Actually, I should make your ringtone on my phone Screamo music. Chat, DM me a good song to have as the ringtone for if Eric calls me if a trade goes through and I'm asleep, because we always make trades like in the morning.
See, this doesn't work out because, like, logistically you'd have to make the thumbnail and stuff and start the stream. But I would love to, like, be streaming and call you with what we traded.
Just
hear
call
you
me
like
on stream, yeah.
It's instant reaction, man. So yeah, so how
teach
that
you how to make thumbnails.
how that trade worked for me.
Yeah.
I was dropping my daughter off at preschool. I got a text from Reese with the Woj tweet, and I just saw Norm Powell for like Justice Winslow, Eric Bledsoe, Keon, and a second. I was like, what the hell? That's like awful. And so like I signed my daughter in, wait for the teacher and stuff like that. Go to my car, check out my phone. And I was like, wait, we gave up Robert Covington too? Like, what the heck? Like, I was already mad, like, before. And then I saw Robert Covington. I didn't even see that in the trade. And, and then I saw that, and I was like, oh, I was so heated.
That's the guy we're trusting. Or the ownership group, if they force them to make that trade. I mean, I hope the ownership group, I still to this day hope the ownership group forced them to make that trade for luxury tax / financial reasons, but
then we ended up saving more than enough money in the CJ trade, so it didn't even matter.
We had to deduct the luxury tax, or else
$60
New
million
Orleans wouldn't have wanted a deal that was great for them because it would have helped us. Like, basically, we got to screw ourselves over in a trade because then another team won't have the leverage of potentially being able to screw us over.
And also, the team that you're trading with who wants to make this trade to make the playoffs, if they achieve that goal, the trade gets much worse for the team giving up that player. Like, let's make sure we negotiate that into the trade, too.
Yeah. CJ's great for them? Okay, well, we lose a lottery pick. Sick. Then we get super
If
screwed
CJ
over
leads us
because
to
we
the
helped him.
if CJ accomplishes our goal and we make the playoffs, you get less in return because that's awful. Like, who does that? Oh, yeah, and then we give up Nikhil Alexander-Walker for Elijah Hughes, and yeah. We got the bird rights to Joe Ingles, who's playing against us tonight.
Yay. Former Blazer Joe Ingles. I will always refer to him as former Blazer Joe Ingles. Because it's just funny at this point.
Oh, man, we're going to have to relive this every freaking thing.
At least we can find the humor in it a little bit. I mean, that's what you got to do, right? Because it's tough. It's tough, man. It's tough. I feel like we're pulling off a trade tomorrow morning.
Yeah, maybe.
It's an off day. We saw this crap. Are you ready to unprotect our pick for Jared Vanderbilt and give up Nas?
Man, yeah. I'm ready for anything at this point. I mean, what?
Are you hearing anything that you can share?
No, I mean, everything I've said everything. So we're still in on Vanderbilt, but we have our sights set much higher, I guess, and we're trying to do things, but that also, yeah.
I wonder if no, it wouldn't work because
the funny thing is though, like if they're, I literally said what I know, Chad. I'm not holding anything back right now. I was literally told things are crazy. They're working on trying to go big. Don't know if it's going to work or not, but they are trying to go big. But that, to me, if you're trying to go big, that's contention, right?
yeah, you would think.
But I've heard many times that they're years away from contention. So how would that work, right?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Yeah.
Really good question.
I'm not acting sus. There's no, like, I've already said Siakam is like the person that fits what this person was telling me. Like, so I'm not hiding anything.
Yeah. They think, dude, you got too much respect now, Eric. That's the problem.
It's not.
Everybody thinks you know something for sure.
I'll tell you who it's not. It's not Mo Bamba or New Orleans Noel. It's not those two.
Yeah, just be the anti. That'll be your source, your sources. All right. I got it, Eric. Actually, I want to know how... Okay, I'm going to have a trade idea, and I am going to put it on the screen, and I'm going to want chat's reaction and your reaction if this happened. All right?
I'm already on record. If we trade Hart and Nurkic for Kevin Love, I'm starting a channel on a different team because I'm not going to be a Blazer fan anymore.
Yeah.
After 40 plus years. So.
Yeah. Okay. Hold on. I'm still setting this up.
Chris, as I was told with that, it would probably take at least 2 or 3 firsts on top of those 3.
Okay, so Fanspo's glitching, but this works. Stay below the hard cap.
Alex, I definitely think Cleveland's going to make a move, although Okoro's been playing pretty good. But
all right, so this works. Fanspo's glitching. All right.
I said my new team would be like a rebuilding team because I don't want to be a front runner and go on a winning team. So it'd be like Pistons Uprise or Magic Uprise or something like that.
I respect it. Can I doubt? Dude, I wonder if Fanspo's glitching because it has high traffic right now. This time of year, you know?
What's it, glitching with being slow, or is it like not allowing a trade that
Well, it's not allowing a trade that should be allowed.
Well, if you put it up, I can maybe figure out why.
No, it's like the trade deadline's over is like one of the messages.
Oh.
Like this guy's a free agent and the trade deadline's over or something. So obviously that's not true. Anyway, okay, there, I'm getting the snapshot now. There we go. All right, I want to know what you guys think about this trade. If you guys would be mad, if you guys would be happy, if you guys... I don't know, I just want to know what you guys would think. Okay.
Yeah, you'll still get rants.
I don't even know if that's big enough. Here, let me make it bigger. Don't clip that out of context. There we go. There it is.
What
There it is.
on earth is going on here?
Raptors get 4 firsts, 3 first-round pick swaps, little sharp filler.
I still think they say no.
Probably. But would you be happy if this happened as a Blazer fan? We give up every first-round pick for the foreseeable future, forever. We unprotect our pick this year. We trade 3 future firsts unprotected, do 3 first-round pick swaps unprotected, trade away Sharp, but we get Pascal and OG to pair with Grant, Dame, and Simons. So you have Dame, Simons, OG, Grant, Siakam.
And then our benches, Bo Cruz, Delano Banton, and who?
Keon, you got Keon there. You got Eubanks there.
You didn't put Keon in this trade? What the heck?
I mean, yeah, you could throw Keon in, but, you know, you gotta have someone.
We still have Jabari Walker, I guess.
Trent Wofford. Well, you'd probably go after the buyout market.
Yeah.
Or, you know, try and flip Keon for a role player,
Really
a better role player.
Luxury tax line.
We are 4 points, we're like $5 million over the tax, so prorated contracts could barely stay under the hard cap.
Mm-hmm.
Or you could throw Keon in and have a little bit more room. Like, would you be mad? Would you be happy? Would you just be scared? Like, what would you be?
Definitely hoping for a follow-up trade to get like Gafford or somebody.
Yeah.
Just to have some big depth. But yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, happy's not the right word. I mean, I think that'd be cool that they went for it, but like, I don't know. I'm not convinced that OG and Siakam are like that much difference makers. Because if they were, like, why did the Raptors suck like us all the time too? But
Because
I
they have
guess
the worst three-point shooting team in the league.
combining the two futures, I guess, might be. You definitely have to pick the right two players off the buyout market though
Yeah.
to have a chance this year.
Your more realistic path would be giving up Simons and Sharp plus assets for both those guys. Maybe you keep Nurk.
What are your thoughts if we do that trade but only get Siakam?
Oh, I'm pissed. I'm pissed. I shouldn't even show Fanspo because I can't even fit it. But yeah, no. You need both of them. But that's the thing. I wonder if there's any foreseeable I wonder if there's any reality in which they could go after both of them.
I just think they're asking way too much for both.
Absolutely.
Where if they split them up, they could get potentially 6 firsts and Sharp and stuff. So like, yeah, I don't.
Yeah, but I mean, if you could get like Simons for firsts and Sharp for both those guys, that's pretty good value in my opinion.
But then what are we doing? Like,
I mean, if you had
Simons, that's
you're starting
4
lineup
starters.
But you're starting, you'd probably keep Nurkic in that deal.
Yeah, maybe.
So your starting lineup would be, we don't have enough length. Okay, well, here's your length. Your starting lineup is Dame, OG Anunoby, Jeremy Grant, Pascal Siakam, Yusuf Nurkic.
Yeah, I don't know if I like that.
It'd be completely different. It'd be scary. Like, Amp becomes a 30-point per game guy, and Sharp becomes, a future superstar, and, 10 years from now, those two guys win a ring together in Toronto, and we're saying that could have been us.
You couldn't get us Gary Trent, too. I'm just kidding. I don't want Trent.
Yeah, Gary Trent and Shane Sharp win a ring together 10 years from now in Toronto.
That's the equivalent. Gary Trent is the equivalent of trading out Keon and Justice right now and somehow getting Gary Trent.
No, because Gary Trent's a free agent.
No.
So he has a little less value.
True.
But still, they're not doing Gary Trent Jr. for that crappy package,
Yeah.
I mean, Dame, OG, Grant, Siakam, and Nurkic is probably top 10 on both sides of the floor.
Until Nurkic misses every lay-in and OG gets hurt.
But all 5 guys can technically shoot. It's just how many guys can consistently shoot well game in, game out, is the question. So, anyway. Yeah. Blazers trading Anthony Simons and Shaden Sharp for Siakam and OG. Imagine that tweet.
I'm pretty much at this point, if we're trading Simons and Sharp in a trade, obviously LeBron's not tradable this year, but it better be for LeBron, Anthony Davis, KD, that type of player. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but if you got Siakam and OG,
yeah, I don't know.
Because Siakam, you could make the case, given the fact that AD is so injury prone, that he's not that far off from AD.
Mm-hmm.
So if you got OG too on top of that, might be better actually.
I'm not saying I would do it. I'm just saying we better get a someone who, if healthy, is an all NBA level player, and I guess Siakam is, but I don't know.
That's the thing. You go up against Giannis tonight, but you got Dame, OG, Grant, Siakam, and Nurkic. You probably don't have to. I don't know. You probably figure out how to defend him pretty well with that group. That's as much length as any team in the league, I feel like. If you could find a way, I would trade Simon Sharp and first for both those guys.
Yeah, I don't know. I think OG's struggled shooting a little bit. he's injury prone. Siakam isn't the most dependable shooter, so the spacing might be weird.
Your upside is a championship.
Yeah, I don't know how. I mean, like I said, I haven't really been impressed last couple of years with OG and Siakam, what they're doing in Toronto. I mean, granted, they don't have Dame, but
imagine we got number 2, number 3.
Yeah.
I mean, OG's 37% from 3 for his career and this season. I mean, I think you're fine with that.
Yeah.
Siakam is this year 32%, but he'd be the worst shooter in our starting lineup. Unless Nurk regresses, but like Grant's been 40%, OG 37%, Nurkic this year is at 39%. Who knows what that falls to? But then you got Dame and then you got Siakam at 32%. But like you don't want to give him space to drive.
Ron says, is Simons and Sharp for Siakam a fair deal? Yes, that is a fair deal. Would
Absolutely.
Toronto accept that? No, we'd still have to include multiple first. So it's
Toronto. But no, I wouldn't give up Sharp and Simons unless you're getting back both Siakam and OG. But Toronto probably doesn't do it for just Siakam. So Vladimir, in such a trade, Portland would unprotect their Chicago 2023 first. If you're swinging big, then it's more justifiable to unprotect that pick. But only if you're swinging big on a true contending roster. You don't do it for frickin' Jared Vanderbilt.
But that goes back to what Allgood's saying, and I don't know if we necessarily should trust Billups enough to be the right coach for that team, and we still might not make the playoffs. And
that team, can you even go wrong with that team defensively?
I don't know.
Like, I don't know how you could. Yeah, I don't know how you could go wrong with that team defensively. I mean, I'm sure you could find a way, but it's like, I want length at the top of my zone. Okay, well, there, you got OG's length and Grant's length, and then on the backside, you got Siakam in one of the back corners and Nurkic. Like, sure, you got Dame on another one of the corners, but you're probably fine. You can put length on the ball, and OG can guard threes, and Siakam can guard fours, and you could put Grant on the point guard if you wanted to. And even if he gets screened out of play, you got so much length that it might be okay. And you could switch 2 through 4.
So Dame guarding Jokic in the Western Conference Finals.
I mean,
and Siakam on Jamal Murray, and
yeah. I mean, that would be fun. We'd be the talk of the NBA.
We'd have OG like sitting in the corner guarding KCP, like off ball, like not even in the play.
Well, the thing is, OG would be mad because OG wants a bigger role. That's the problem with that trade. Right. He'd be the fourth option.
Yeah.
Be like, OG will stagger you with the bench. You can be our first option for 12 minutes a game. Because our bench has nobody.
That's horrible, grind fine.
There's no way you're being serious. The only way you're being serious is if you're a Nuggets fan. Because that's the only thing that explains that awful trade.
My mom says Dame says the trade deadline is affecting players, which I get. I'm not saying it's not, but
they've been playing defense like this for a month, though.
Yeah, some of these problems have been happening since mid-November. So I don't necessarily buy that as an excuse either.
Kyrie got similar. Kyrie's a free agent, and Kyrie's Kyrie, and Dame is better, not a headache off the court, and not a free agent. Come on, dude. That's terrible logic. Like, I'm actually annoyed that you just sat here and, like, acted like Dame was Kyrie. Come on, dude. That's insulting to Dame. Kyrie's a diva that blows up multiple franchises. Dame is a loyal star who stayed loyal to Portland for 10, 11 years. How is he anything like Kyrie, man? Like, I'm sorry, but dude, you can't come in here with takes like that. that's you're gonna get roasted for that one, man. Chat's gonna have a field day with that one.
Nick Thompson, I don't think I've ever been to Broadway Grill, so no, that wasn't me.
I can't believe Dame just got compared to Kyrie. Anyway. Anyway, Eric, I don't even want to.
Yeah.
I don't. I'll be too mean, and I don't want to be mean. That's just Anyway.
Someone asked if I would give up an unprotected first for Dorian Finney-Smith. No, I'm not. I don't know if I'm really unprotecting a first, and I would hope it wouldn't cost a first for him. So
Hell no. Just draft the next Herb Jones if you want him that bad. Like,
welcome to, says Eric. Yes.
welcome to Eric. Welcome to the Eric Uprise postgame show.
Yeah, I said this early in the stream. Just, I mean, put Dame with LeBron, put Dame with Tatum and Jaylen Brown and that team, put Dame with KD and Harden, put Dame and Luka together, and they're way better than any of those teams Kyrie was on, including the championship team.
Mm-hmm.
Crypto AK says, if we were going after DFS, we would have today.
Why today?
Because that trade got completed, probably is what is going to be the reasoning. But
I mean, if we're trading Hart for him, then
yeah, their salaries
fine,
match, so
yeah.
it still works. Yeah, and
Anyway.
it says they're not done.
So tomorrow we got nothing unless a trade happens.
Yeah.
Then on Wednesday, I feel like we should maybe do a Blazers Uprise live. With the trade deadline being Thursday.
All right.
You want us? All right. Blazers Uprise live on Wednesday is like
Well,
trade deadline
let's-
preview the day before the trade deadline. And
Let's
there will
say
probably be more
if
rumors
there's
and-
not a trade late that
Yeah,
morning or
yeah.
tomorrow, like if we're streaming for a couple hours tomorrow, then maybe we don't need to because we'll have the post game show to talk about
Yeah.
Thursday.
Yeah. So just join our Discord and follow the channel's page and my Twitter page and Eric's Twitter page, and you'll be able to, find out what's going on. But I'm thinking, like a trade deadline preview special on Wednesday. We could talk about various stuff and do picks against the spread and
So how it works is once you make a trade, so like the Nets right now cannot combine Spencer Dinwiddie or Dorian Finney-Smith either together for another trade or with any players on their roster still to make a trade if it doesn't work without combining those two. So they can trade Dorian Finney-Smith for Josh Hart on his own, but they couldn't trade, say, Dorian Finney-Smith and Royce O'Neal for Anthony Simons because they would have to combine those two salaries to get him. So they can trade those guys individually on their own right away. 60 days is the aggregation time you have to wait, which is after the deadline. So they'd have to wait till the offseason if they wanted to aggregate those two in a bigger trade.
Yep. Anyway, I'll have more NBA Uprise content too. If you want to subscribe to NBA Uprise, the link of this is in the description box below. Currently, let me see how many subs are on that channel currently. Because I'm curious. We got 876 subs, so let's try and get that to 900. Because I know there's at least 24 of you in here that aren't subscribed, and the link's in the description box below. It takes 5 to 10 seconds. I'll drop reactions to other NBA trades. It'll be fun. And in the future, once that channel's big enough, that's probably where we're going to do some of our big, free agency trade deadline streams. We'll have to figure that out when we get there, but you can help us get there. Go to NBA Uprise and subscribe. What were you going to say?
I was just saying, Nick, you could go through every single team and say that they should have drafted so-and-so over so-and-so, and like every single team has that same thing they could say. So
Yep.
it ends up canceling it all out. Like,
Shout out-
obviously, we should have taken KD.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to the two of you that just went and subbed. We got 2 out of 250. Appreciate y'all. Shout out Hyper Prime with a $5 donut. Says, I'm late, boys. Your guys' opinion on Portland getting a WNBA team? I mean, it'd be cool. We've got the, arena and all that. Seems like there would be a lot of interest here for a WNBA team, so it'd be cool.
Yep. Hopefully it's a little better run and stuff than last time we had one, but I'm one of the few that's old enough to remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm all for Portland getting as many different franchises as possible. I think a WNBA team would be good for that area during the summer, and so I'm all for it.
Anyway, anything else?
No, hope. I don't know. Do we hope we talk to people tomorrow, or do we hope we don't talk to people tomorrow? I'm scared either way.
I hope we talk to people tomorrow. I hope we don't yell at people tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully we're not yelling into our mics about something stupid. So we'll see. It's
Like
scary
Cam
time.
Thomas being the next Dame.
Bro. There's no way. No. That's stop. Please. Kyrie and now Cam Thomas.
Yeah, Cam Thomas has been amazing the last couple games, but let's
He's
slow
always
down.
been a microwave scorer, and that's it. He don't pass. He's not Dame. 2 games does not make sense. Stop. We're not trading Dame. Stop with the freaking Dame trades. I always have to go off about this, but especially stop with the Dame trades where you compare him to Kyrie or Cam Thomas.
Alvaro wants me to say, welcome to Orlando Magic Uprise. I'm your host, Eric Brandt. Formerly of Blazers.
They say Dame couldn't pass as a rookie, to be honest. He averaged 6 assists per game.
Started at point guard.
He's averaged 6 assists per game.
Cam Thomas more of a shooting guard anyway.
Cam Thomas, he plays less, but averages 1.4. Cam Thomas actually passes more than I thought, and he's still...
What's this per 36?
3.4 assists. Last year it was 2.4.
He's definitely looking good.
That's still half.
The Nets could probably get something good for him right now.
But that's the thing, is the number one guy, how many assists has he got in the past couple of nights? That's my question. How many assists did he get tonight? I know he went off, but...
47.
Yeah, so he had the ball in his hands consistently every play, took 29 shots, got to the line 11 times, had 3 assists, 4 turnovers. Yeah, nah. I mean, he's a microwave scorer. But I bet you put Jordan Clarkson, in that situation, he's taking 29 shots a game, he could get a couple 40-point bombs back-to-back. Quit disrespecting Dame by comparing him to Kyrie and Cam Thomas. Just stop. That's disgusting. I'm disgusted. I was going to end off this stream on a little bit of a good note. I already did all my plugs, and then you had to come in here with Cam Thomas for Damian Lillard. I'm disgusted, Eric. You know how Stephen A. Smith says that? I wish I could do a good imitation of that. Because that's what I want to sound like right now. But anyway, I already asked you final words, so what? I just sign off from here?
Thank you, everyone, for watching. Appreciate you all. Maybe see you tomorrow. If not, we'll definitely, stream for a little bit on Wednesday, whether there's a trade or not, and then we'll have the postgame show, of course. And then please join us on Thursday early in the morning around 8 a.m. We'll be live streaming for about 5 hours from 8 a.m. till whenever the last trades get announced and we talk about it all. We'll react live. We'll have all the Twitter feeds on the screen, so they'll update as you're watching. You don't even have to go anywhere else to look for updates because Tori will have them on the screen for you, and we can as soon as it clicks to a new tweet from Woj or Shams or whoever, we will be immediately reacting to it. It's a lot of fun. You can see Tori throw things and me put my hands in my face and wonder what teams are doing. Yeah.
That'll be fun.
What if there's no trades? I mean, then we just sit here and BS with you guys for 5 hours. But I mean, there was 10 trades on Thursday last year. So no, trade deadline is Thursday.
I may need a new computer. Yeah, we'll see. But yep, Thursday. That'll be fun. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. Hopefully it won't be like pulling teeth.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm scared. Anyway, have a good rest of your nights. We'll see if Tuesday's a day off. We'll catch you whenever we catch you next. Wherever we catch you next. Description box below for all the links I plugged. We're out of here. Until next time, Eric. As always, peace out. Go Blazers.